us judging each other for the way with which we are choosing to experience aging is what I really, really, really invite all of us to let go of. Welcome, bienvenue, bonjour to the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. For women who desire to awaken their heartfelt desires, trust themselves fully, and connect with their soul's purpose through beauty. On y va. Let's go. Hello, bonjour, and welcome to the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. I'm excited about today. So we're going to talk about aging. I put a post yesterday, I think it was. I did a little story on Instagram bringing this topic up. This is something that's so front and center for me in my own life. I'm going to be 48. A little bit. And this is a conversation I feel like we as women get to have. It's not one we have to have. It's not one we're obligated to have. I feel like it's one we get to have. So I want to start here, and I want to start with that. All right. Here's part of my intention for today. I feel like one of the things that we have the opportunity to experience as we age, as we mature, is to say what we really want to say without giving a fuck. And I know now we have to mark this podcast explicit. So that's okay. That's okay. Do you feel like that as well? That as you get older, you're like, just going to say what I really want to say. Not in againstness, not to try to prove a point. More in the energy of, this is how I really feel about this. And I no longer feel the need to hide myself or to backtrack on what it is I really feel and believe. So part of my intention today is to really lean into the conversation, the topic of aging, in a really profound, very expansive, spacious way for all of us. And the first thing that I want to bring forward here that I've been playing with myself and that I've witnessed feedback with over the years, I really believe that there are no rules when it comes to aging. Here's what I mean. If you want to have gray hair, if you want to grow out your grays, and you still want to get filler or Botox or get your eyes done or get your neck done, great. You can do whatever you want. There are no rules. If you don't want anything, if you're like, no, Botox doesn't feel good, this doesn't feel good, the all natural feels good, like, great, do that. What I feel is so available for us as women is to let go of bringing forward unnecessary againstness against ourselves for sure, and against each other around this topic. I have been told, I have received comments before that have said, Tara, you have a certain platform. You have this. You should be talking about aging this way. You should not get Botox. I like you better this way. You should take a stand for this. You should teach beauty like this. You should... No. Us judging each other for the way with which we are choosing to experience aging is what I really, really, really invite all of us to let go of. There are no rules. There's not one right way to age. There's not one right way to be in support of beauty. There's not one right way to be in full acceptance and celebration of our beauty and growing and aging. There are multitude, unlimited, unique ways with which we choose to express ourselves always, right? This is the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. There's not one way to experience your beautiful soul-led life. It's the same with beauty, with aging in general. So here are a couple things we all know, right? And I want to get really real and really vulnerable here. We all know that it's a blessing, right? Truly, truly. We think about like, this is a gift. It is a gift to age. And even though we know that, sometimes it's really beautiful to slow down and actually feel that. Like, actually, it's a gift. What is the alternative? Everybody gets to be young. Not everybody gets to age. Like, it's a beautiful, beautiful gift. So we know that. And yet slowing down and really feeling into, wow, this is actually a blessing. This is actually a gift. This is actually an extraordinary opportunity for me to experience this and for me to continue to know myself in new ways. This was what I was feeling into when I decided to let my grays grow out. And I've been on a journey with this. So I first began and attempted it. I don't know if you can see them all in here. If you're seeing me on camera, you might be listening to the audio, then you can't see them, but we're doing a new thing and this is going to be on the YouTube. That's the plan. So when I first initiated this gray grow out, I went through a phase with it where I did it a little differently. I was having some highlights come in, and at the end, I went to Europe and all of my girlfriends were still dyeing their hair, and I was like, oh. And so I dyed my hair again. This past year, I really felt it again. And what I was feeling into is I want to experience beauty this way. I really want to begin to see it as beautiful. And so I set my intention around, can I see my grays as beautiful? And I started imagining and co-creating this vision of seeing them grow out. And I fell in love with this version of me. I fell in love with this identity. This is where, those of you that are very familiar with Elegant Femme, this is where the indie femme type can come in, right? The identity, the woman who. And this past year, my theme for this year is Elegance Reborn. And so I've been looking through the lens of the rebirth of Elegant Femme, and we're making some huge changes this year. I'm making some huge personal changes. My son's graduating from high school. My other son is in his second year in college. Like, there's a lot of changes going on around here. And so I have committed myself to the embodiment of a legend, the rebirth of Elegant Femme, Elegance Reborn, and the birth of a legend. And so when I was feeling into this legend energy for myself, I kept seeing this version of me with these grays growing out. And I thought, I'm doing it. I'm going for it. I've fallen in love with them. I've fallen in love with the way they look. I've fallen in love with the beauty of it. I see them as really, really beautiful as they're growing in. And I also made the decision for myself that I didn't want to just transition fully to gray. I wanted to feel into the transformation of them growing out. Very personal choice. It's what feels good to me. If you're listening to this and you're like, I do not like that at all, and I am going to continue to cover my grays, good for you. Like, do whatever it is that allows you to feel good about you. For me, this topic of aging, it's not about we can't do anything or we're resisting aging, or the other extreme, we have to do everything or else we're whatever. The extremes don't work in my experience ever. And again, there's no right way. There's no wrong way. There's no rules. I still get my Botox. Still get some lip filler. I like it. It feels beautiful. It feels good to me. Now, again, it's that discernment of, oh my God, the ego that's like, you have to get it or you're no longer beautiful. That's not the place to make any decision from. Right? No matter what the decision is, whether it's about external beauty and doing something with your body or an internal decision. Whenever there's a force, a have to, a should, a supposed to, a fear of loss, that's when we get to check in. And that brings up that other really beautiful conversation, this fear of loss that can come forward when we look at aging, like the fear of losing something, losing our youth, losing our sensuality, losing our value. As women, our roles, and I'm sure, and obviously as men too, but just speaking from this perspective, as a mother and as a wife, my role is changing. My boys that I couldn't pee without fingers underneath the door. And, now my son went to yoga with me today. Like, this was like, right? When before I couldn't get like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, 2 minutes to myself. And now it's like, oh my gosh, when they spend 2 minutes with me, I'm like, woohoo, right? The energy and the embodiment and the connection and the role of identity changes. When we can, in my experience, and as I share this with you, this is not perfect. I am not perfect at this. I am growing through this. There's all sorts of things that still come up for me. One of the things that really supports me is, am I looking at this through the lens of what I'm losing? And if so, can I shift it into what it is I'm actually gaining? What it is I'm actually receiving. So this was a big thing for me last year. Oh my gosh, it wasn't last year. It was the year before now, when my oldest, that's here in the physical world, not Mason, Dominic. When Dominic was going to college, it was this big fear of loss. Like I'm losing him. I'm losing the connection of all four of us being at home. Like there was so much fear of loss energy, which is a normal human emotion as well. We're not trying to do a spiritual bypass here and negate the deep feelings that come up. What supported me and what still supports me is, what am I gaining? What is now available for me that wouldn't have been before? The closeness that I see him and his brother having that has grown with him not living at home. The conversations that we get to have, the maturity in his formula, the way he reflects on the family, the way he sees himself, right? There's been so much gifted. So I love to bring this conversation into aging as well. Okay, so, the cheeks might fall a little bit, right? The neck might do the thing that it might do, right? These are human things that I think we go through. What am I gaining? What am I gaining? Right? The greater clarity, the greater wisdom, the greater space, the greater power to make decisions. Like if you want to get a mini facelift or get your neck done or whatever it is, like if it's coming from a space of wholeness inside of you, there are no rules. There are no rules. All of us get to age in whatever way we choose. It's a really powerful thing to consider. Like, what allows me to feel good? One of the things that I've explored, and I'll actually put a link here below. So let me say this. Anything that I share with you, as always, I am not a doctor. I am not any of those things that can prescribe or tell you, or nor would I ever even want to tell you what to do or what you should do. Can make suggestions, things that I have tried, things that I've experienced that have served me, and then you get to do your own whole due diligence on what it is that serves you. After having gone through 5 IVF cycles, I saw a picture of myself the other day after the 5th one, and I was like, oh, I was on so many hormones. I was on also steroids for blood things, and it was a lot. It was a lot. And my body was very, very much out of alignment when I was complete with all the 5 cycles. But I also learned a lot about hormones. Because I was on so much estrogen and so much progesterone, I was really witnessing my body in the change and the reaction and how I felt in my body when I was high in certain hormones or when I was low in certain hormones. And this is something that, even though I knew hormones had a big effect on our body, I had never experienced it like this. I think there was still a part of me that was like, oh, your cycle comes, okay, you're a little tired, like get over yourself and keep going. The intensity with which our hormones affect us really shifted things for me in my life. So when I was done with the IVF cycles and I was really feeling off, I had weight that wasn't leaving, just the feeling wasn't right. I went to a hormone doctor and had all of my hormones tested. The whole panel, all of the things, which I strongly, strongly suggest that all of us do. I really do, to have a baseline about where we are and have it checked up and checked in on. Currently right now I'm on 5-HTP. I think that's how you say it, right? But again, I'm not prescribing. I'm just sharing what I'm on. That really helps me with my mood and my energy. I'm also on DHEA twice a day. And then I take 2 hormone vitamins. It's called Happy Mammoth. And I can link those down below as well. Again, please get your hormones checked. I'm not telling you to take all of these things. I'm just sharing with you what has made a difference, like a big difference with my energy levels, with my mood, with weight around my midsection, like just feeling like myself again. It's been really, really helpful for me. So I would strongly suggest you get your hormones checked. The other thing for me, I'm always listening to my body. Like, I had such a strong history of wanting to look a certain way, thinking that I needed to be a certain weight in order to be pretty, all of these things. So I spent a lot of time connecting with really deeply listening to my body. There are 2 things that serve me, well, many, many things, right? There's 2 as a form of, it's really 3, as a form of movement for my body. Walking, there's 4. Walking, swimming, yoga, and Pilates. And the fifth one I could put in there is total rest. I don't like going to the gym. It's not for me. It's not my thing. If you love it, honor it, do it, feel good. The type of Pilates and yoga that I do are actually really strength building with, I will use 1 pound weights on my legs or things like that. But again, it's important that this isn't a force. I went through at the beginning of this year, I took the month of March off. And in April, I think it was April, that I didn't work out the entire month. April and maybe not even May, because I was having some stuff with my lungs and some stuff with my lower back. So I allowed myself to rest. Again, looking through the lens of, am I afraid of loss, right? Am I working out because I'm so afraid of something? Or am I working out because, and working out, we should even change that, right? Moving our bodies. I don't want to work ever at all. Just the feeling like we have to work, whole nother conversation. Okay. So getting back to the deep listening of our bodies and what it is we know we need, internally and externally. And I'm really going to invite us to play with this conversation and to witness the judgment that women can have for other women. The idea of telling someone they should or shouldn't do something, or you prefer them one way, or it's just ludicrous. We are the ones who can stop doing that to each other and certainly stop doing it to ourselves. To look in the mirror with appreciation, right? If you don't have a really close-up mirror, I suggest you get a really close-up mirror. And if you can do it in the sunlight or near your bathroom window, just to hold the mirror up and look in your eyes and see the light shining through your eyes. It's such a beautiful connection of oh my gosh, I'm here. Now, in all transparency, although I'm loving my grays, I love them. I love them, see them come in. I'm not loving the neck situation, not loving the face doing the thing. Maybe at some point I'll choose to do something. I don't know. If I do, it'll be my choice and I won't need anyone's opinion about it. Same with you. You can also change your own mind. You might want to try growing out your grays and then decide you don't like it. You might want to try Botox and decide you don't like it. You can change your own mind as well. There are no rules. You are not committed to anything. You get to grow and experience yourself in all sorts of different ways. When I think about, the embodiment of the woman that I know I am, and I consider being a grandmother and having long, beautiful hair with gray streaks and probably still full lips. We get to create our own vision about it, right? We're not here to please anyone else on our own journey and our own expression. We can all be extraordinarily respectful to ourselves and to each other. So I wanted to open up this conversation. This is an indie, Frenchie, and New Yorker conversation, feeling into the woman that you are and being compassionate with yourself. When we are devoted to the spiritual journey, and we talk about this a lot inside of Elegant Femme, right? The whole integration between the spiritual and the physical is what Elegant Femme stands for. Really moving away from the idea that only certain things are spiritual and that if we engage in material desires that we're somehow less than spiritual. It's just simply not true. Everything is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. And when we give ourselves permission to play inside of that realm, magic happens. There's so much available for us to experience. We are the ones that get to feel into what is it that we're desiring to experience. What does it feel like? What does it look like? What are we honoring inside of ourselves as we say yes to more, whatever that more is for you? Wanted to bring forward this conversation today, and I know what I was going to say. Just wrap back around. The compassion for being in the human experience. So as we're on this spiritual journey, there will be a side of us always that's I know better. It doesn't matter what I look like. Doesn't matter. My wrinkles don't matter. Nothing matters. I'm a good, loving, spiritual, beautiful being. And we know that, yes, it's true. You're a good, beautiful, spiritual, gorgeous being. And it's okay to come up with some resistance or conflict or aggravation or sadness or frustration or fear inside of the physical world experience. In all of it. And as we age, it's oh my goodness, right? It brings up a lot of our stuff. It's okay. It's okay for us to look at it. It's okay for us to do the inner work. And it's okay for us to do all the inner work and still decide I want Botox, or I'm going to get this, or I'm going to get that, and it feels whole and aligned to me. Like, it's all okay. It's all about where you're residing inside of yourself. I would love to hear how this podcast serves you, how it supports you, what it might bring up inside. So leave your comments, leave a rating, tell me all the things. And I love this. I love these deeper, beautiful conversations. And as I said earlier, after the summer, I'm going to be taking some questions. So share if there's anything you want to see specifically on the Beautiful Soul Led Life podcast, any follow-up you want to do, any guests you want to see in 2024, let me know. Okay? Now remember, there are no rules. You get to choose how to express your beauty internally and externally in a way that supports and reflects all of who you are. And you can even change your mind.
Thank you so much. Merci for listening to the Beautiful Soul Led Life podcast. I would love if this message serves you, that you support it and share it with other women who might benefit from really having their lives in balance with their femme types. And if you can leave a comment, do a review. I love reading every single one of them. And I would adore if you could take a snapshot of yourself wherever you listen to this episode and post it on social media. My Instagram is elegantfemme1, and I'd love to see you, share you, and just celebrate with you as you are moving into creating, experiencing, and claiming your own beautiful soul-led life.